Hey folks, this is Mark with MD Custom Fly Rods here. Just wanted to do a video while I've got everything kind of drying up and on this, and I'm kind of at a standstill. This is going to be on guides spacing and a little bit on guide size. As you get building, and this is going to go into the kind of the archives of what I want to go ahead and do, so you can go back and reference. But as you go through and start setting up, it's one of the questions you will have is where do you put your guides? Your first place you want to start is depending on where you got your blank from. That will be your very first reference. Your first reference will be that wherever, like North Fork Composites, they will all have their reference guides on for each of their blanks on where you should probably where their recommended site is, or where their recommended placement on their guides and their sizing. That is where their engineers have kind of designed set where they would like to go ahead and where the stress is, takes it off the rod, evenly spaces out for the load weight for the size of the blank. Generally, as a general rule, you will usually find on a fly rod, the very first guide off the tippy top is going to be either between 3.5 to 4 inches off the front, and generally off the back from the handle, it is going to be about 30 inches. Now, that being said, if you're building your rod, one of the things, or having a rod built, one of the things there is you're getting into the custom. If you don't want it like everybody else, you just buy it off the shelf like everybody else. So that being said, go through and you can go just kind of like do a double check on your measurements, take any standard fly rod and pick it on up. And the easiest way to determine if you're between 5'10" and 6 foot, odds are those standard stripping guides and setup is going to be probably just right on the money for you. I'm 5'6". It's not on the money for me. If you are 6'2", it's probably not going to be on the money for you either. You want to be able to, as you're running a stripper guide, running streamers, you want to be able to, if you drop it, you want to be able to pick that up easy. You want it comfortable. If you're going to be fishing all day, you just want to be able to reach down, grab it. You just want that comfortability. And that's one of the areas where a custom rod will come into play. This rod here behind me, we are going to be setting that last one, normally because this is a 9-foot rod. North Fork Custom has the rear one setting back at 77 inches off the top. We're actually going to be setting this one back at 83 inches off the top. So that leaves the question, what do we do? So one good starting place here will be is on Carlin. You can go to carlinbamboo.com. They are a bamboo rod site. They have a calculator, and you can go ahead and put in your rod length, the weights, and your how many guides you're putting on, and it will tell you your placement. That is a very good, excellent starting point. And I also have a video on the start of this build where I've also shown where I will lay my rod on out and I will run the recommended guide spacing as well as the guide spacing from the calculator, and I will run a line through and I will go through and double check. And is what I want to see is this nice curvature of the line, because I want to even out the stress on the blank. So between doing that basic simple test on it and also the rod calculator through the carlinbamboo.com, and then also your blank calculator. You should be able to get a really, really you'll be on there where you're not going to be off. You're not now. Are you going to be off if you move it a quarter of an inch one way or the other? No. If you go and buy a cheap Chinese blank, are you going to be off a little bit? No. In a case like that, you can go to RodSense, which is at rodsense.com, and there's a lot of helpful stuff on there as well. Check them out. They have a generic, which I have up here, just a generic rod spacing guide. You look up your weight, size 2, 3, 4. It tells you the number of guides that you have that you should place for the length of the rod, your weight of your rod, how many pieces of the rod, your generic spacing of the rod, and that just kind of tells you just your basic generic spacing. That will get you pretty freaking close. Is what really matters are your front 5 to 6 front 5 to 6 guides. That's what really matters. Your rear ones, not as much, until you start getting into the larger rods. On the smaller rods, a trout rod, you're not going to need that as much on your stripper guides because you're not going to get, unless they, maybe onto a steelhead. Yeah. But generally your rainbows and browns, definitely not your brook trout, but for the most part, it's not going to matter on your guide spacing, especially on your rear stripper. So you want to go, you can adjust that to you, but you're going to need to adjust your next spacing ones going on up just so you don't get the slack in there. And then the spacing up going forward, you can adjust as you go. So as I said, for the most part, damn fly, you can make those adjustments as needed, and you can go ahead and test it out on your own pretty easily. But once again, and I've said it in the past, take your time. It's a rod. Unless you're dying to get out on the water and you have to have it done by a certain time, no matter what. The hell these flies come from all of a sudden? I wouldn't worry too much about it. And this process can be a very slow going process. So, you have any questions, just let me know. Also on your guide sizing, a lot of these are the same resources. Carlin Bamboo Rods, Guide Sense, your manufacturer of your blank, they will all tell you your guides sizes that you need. Generally, as a general rule, 2, 3, 4. Generally, you're going to be using 5, 6 millimeter with a 8 millimeter stripper guide size, inner diameter on there, and then you just kind of half size up. So it'd be 5.5. So when you go to a 4, 5, 6, you can adjust and everything else, and then line size. And this is also, your fly line is very important. So this is where starting to match your fly line gets into it. So you can have the most expensive rod in the world, but unless you have decent fly line, it's gonna mitigate a whole bunch of having an expensive fly rod. So keep that in mind. But yeah, your guide spacing is, start with your manufacturer, first place. Second place, just go through and RodSense and Carlin Bamboo Rods. carlinbamboo.com will be maybe your second place. And then after that, maybe rodsense.com. And then that will probably get you 99% of anything else. Other than that, reach on out. I can help guide you into the area where you might need. And then after that, go ahead and set up a jig, and then that will get you everything you need. I've got faith in you. Trust me, if I could do it, this old GI can do it. You can. So, any questions? shoot me a message. I'll have my email on this video. Take friends and family fishing. Take that time to bond with one another. Keep those bonds tight. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and I will see you on the next one. And hit that notification bell and keep those damn flies away. See you on the next one.